plugged in. How you sounding?
Always good.
Always loud.
Man.
I gotta work on my voice projection. I was reading all stuff about how to improve the quality of your voice.
What's that part of it?
Kinda. I was doing plosives, which is the reason you have a pop filter.
Yeah.
Get rid of the p-p-p-t-t-t.
Yeah.
But then I was remembering the way to project your voice is to picture a spot, maybe there, and pretend your voice is a beach ball and go, ho, ho. You try to throw your voice there.
You should have talked into your mic more on that one. That was a good story.
Yeah, all right. Welcome to the Move with MOTUS podcast. My name is Dr. Christopher Ellis, and joining me is personal trainer John Williams. We are the owners of MOTUS Personal Training and Physiotherapy. Together, we will discuss any topic you can think of when it comes to training and rehab. From the carnivore diet to hip impingement, you can be sure that all your questions will be answered. Enjoy this week's episode. Yeah, no, I just feel like having a very confident voice just helps everything in life. You know what I mean? Not just podcasting.
I think you're just self-conscious about your voice.
No, I think
it's really limiting your emotional stability. You're definitely a fragile flower.
Yeah, well, that might be true, but no, I just think it's a great presenter is an amazing thing, and I just I want to eventually become a great presenter.
Yeah, there's definitely a thing about voices. People who have really nice voices that project well, you feel like you can trust them more, and you feel like they're more knowledgeable.
Yeah,
I've listened to some geniuses who have just voices that are hard to listen to, and I personally don't discredit them because I'm very aware of it, but I can see how people would. Just like if you're short.
I was reading this somewhere. It was the ability to get a job or sell your software has only 7% to do with the actual things you say, and all the rest of it is how you present yourself. I don't know exactly what the study was. Something like that. Is the whole point.
What was the percentage of it? That's
7% had to do with the content. Everything else is the way you speak, the way you hold yourself, carry yourself, your charisma, are you smiling, all these things.
Maybe 50 years ago. But today, the actual content of what you do matters more because you can just sit behind a screen, not talk to anybody, put an app out there on the internet, and push it through the right channels without having to speak to anybody at all, and it can blow up.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's all true, obviously. I'm talking about interpersonal, meetings. That's what I'm talking about.
I think really smart people can see through the bullshit.
Okay,
but
so this study is just bullshit.
Yeah, just disregard everything.
So
I was thinking about that. We are going on too long, but I was thinking about that today. This guy put a tweet out. I responded to the tweet. I'm not saying I was right or he's wrong or vice versa.
He was wrong.
He was definitely wrong. I'm always right.
Yep.
But I just disagree with him, and not totally on what he said, but just a little bit. I was like, hey, man, yeah, I see what you're saying, but it could also mean this. He was like, no, that's completely not true. It's really this way.
What, is this another personal trainer?
No, this was just a random guy online.
Okay.
Well, actually, I'll say what it was. And then you can cut out whatever you want of this, whatever of this sounds interesting, maybe none of it. But the guy said, if you show up late, if somebody keeps showing up late on you, it's just completely disrespectful, and you need to, whatever the case was. Mm-hmm. And I was like, well, maybe if somebody keeps showing up late, you should reevaluate how much value you're providing to that person. If you're a trainer or a physical therapist, and somebody and one of your clients, your patients, keep showing up late, maybe you should consider how much they're perceiving that they're getting out of it. Mm-hmm. Because if they keep showing up late and they're not on time, then it's probably not a lot. Now, they could just be a person who's perpetually late and actually really do appreciate it. I do have those people in my life. But the people who can't seem to get out of bed to come and meet me, or can't seem to push the other things off in their life to come meet me, I'm just have to reevaluate, hey, maybe my service or whatever it is about me just isn't enticing enough for them to be here and be here all the time.
It's your BO. That's what it is.
What's that?
It's your BO.
I haven't been wearing too much deodorant recently because I have really irritated
It does
armpits.
not smell. Well, I don't know. You have irritated armpits?
From deodorant, yeah.
Oh, that's
Every once in
interesting.
a while, I'll switch up my deodorant,
Uh-huh.
and every single time it like irritates me.
So
And
maybe
it's been very
you're the
frustrating.
fragile flower.
Oh, I'm super fragile. I'm not tough at all. Right now, I have like really sore calves. I have like these my lips are all mad because I ate too much mangoes, and I got these really annoying armpits, and I am not happy at all.
You are a hot mess. Tight calves, irritated armpits, and swollen lips from mango.
I am not happy whatsoever. This is the most upset I've been in my life.
So how much mango did you eat? Did you eat the pit?
No, but it was a fair amount of mango. One of my clients gave me mangoes because we were talking about the day before, and he just happened to have one of his employees give him mangoes, and they were like perfectly ripe. They were perfect.
Were they those honey mangoes? Those are the best.
No, they were just, I don't know what they were. I'm not an
They're not
aficionado,
like
but
fibery, were they? Or were they kind of smooth?
yeah. Anyway, so they were just really good mangoes. And
Hey.
I couldn't stay away.
I spent some time in the Philippines, and it's all about mangoes there. So I'm picky.
Fair enough.
All right. Sorry,
We
continue.
all have our thing.
So how many mangoes?
Well, it was. I had probably 2 total mangoes as I was slicing them up, because like I would slice them and then there's still some meat on the peel, and so I would like eat the inside of the peel. But I think my lips rubbing on the inside of the peel then got all the mango juice on my lips, and then now it's irritating my lips. Speaking of which, we should talk about the carnivore diet as a result, because okay, if I rubbed my lips on some meat, I would not get irritation on my lips.
Yes.
But when I do that on too much fruit for too long a period of time, wherever the case might be, that happens.
Yeah, I've known a lot of people have reactions to mangoes, but I don't know if they're rubbing the skin on their lips like you do.
All I'm
You're like
trying to
brushing your teeth with mango.
all I'm trying to say is, we do get reactions from having too much fruits and vegetables.
Yes.
And then there's certain fruits and vegetables that you cannot eat or you'll die. That is not the case with meat. And you just got to consider, okay, well, I can put like a little bit of mango on my lips and it irritates me. What are the long-term effects of just eating mangoes every single day? Okay, it's a fruit. We think it's healthy. But if it's irritating my lips so much that I get like a rash, if I eat it every single day, is it doing something to my insides? I'm not sure we know.
Yeah, I think the jury's still out. I mean, there are known compounds, and this is sort of a hot debate in the nutrition world, like the idea of anti-nutrients, right? So, on the carnivore side of things, the argument is basically that, plants evolved over millennia to develop chemical defenses because they're stuck in the ground, which makes sense. They want to propagate the plant just like everything else, and they don't want to be eaten. So yeah, that's the argument behind sort of the carnivore side. And then the sort of mainstream says, well, that's just ridiculous. Plants and fruits are nothing but good for us. And, I don't think anyone disagrees that there was a lot of value in plants and fruits. But the carnivore side is saying, yes, that may be true, but you're also getting this with it. This anti-nutrients that may inhibit absorption of something or may actually cause a gut reaction, or in your case, swollen lips because you like to brush your teeth with mango. Okay. And then the further argument is, why get those negatives if you can just get all those same nutrients and more out of meats and organ meat?
So you've been on the carnivore diet now pretty religiously. And I know you're a very religious guy, so that's saying a lot.
Which I'm not. So that's January 5th I've been on, so we're in July. So, yeah, over half the year I've been on it. And honestly, I'm loving it. I just I love the way I feel. It's like a kind of a fun diet to be on. Like, I come home and just make steak and, sometimes liver, and I eat a lot of cheese, and it's awesome. I don't know. Now my brother's into it, my wife's into it. We're all just on it and just loving it. So, yeah, well, you kind of dropped off, though.
Yeah, and I'll discuss why.
Okay.
But I want you to continue speaking about your experience.
Okay. Well, I just want to
because
tell
this
you
is something we had to do was the carnivore update episode.
Well, so my kids are still eating fruit and stuff, and we had some green grapes on the counter, and I was like, man, I haven't had like a piece of fruit in like 6 months or something like that. So I tried a grape, and I was telling my wife the story, and I was like, oh my God, it was so sweet. It tastes like cotton candy. She's like, you idiot. Those are cotton candy grapes. I didn't even know that was a brand or what a breed or genus of grape, but it tasted just like cotton candy, and that's the type of grape it is.
Well, there you go.
And I was thinking, oh my God, I haven't had like this much carbohydrate in so long that it tastes so
This must
sweet.
just be the most amazing thing in the world.
Yeah. No, I'm an idiot. So, anyways, but actually, I do kind of want to get in some wine talk. Actually, it pertains to this. This is kind of an evolution that's happened to me. So,
Well, because let's be clear, you've been doing the carnivore diet, but you do drink coffee, and you do drink wine. Primarily wine. Do you do any other alcohol, or is it mostly just wine?
sometimes vodka.
Okay.
And sometimes mezcal. I mean, my brother likes mezcal. He's kind of getting me into it a little bit. And, I kind of feel like I'm shifting. Well, I kind of go back and forth. Wine, vodka. Like, I like a nice, clean vodka martini from time to time.
Mm-hmm. And then how often are you having things that are outside the carnivore diet, like the wine, like the vodka and the coffee?
Well, there's those different tiers, and I'm not, like, super dogmatic or super strict. I wanted to try a grape the other day. It's, whatever. I don't think it's a big deal. And coffee's like a no-no. But, yeah, you got to have something in life. Come on now. So I do have a coffee a day, sometimes two. And then wine, I don't know, a couple times a week. But I've switched to organic wines, which I'll get into in a minute. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, absolutely. And now let's talk about, so you've been on the carnivore diet for 6 months. How has the diet for you evolved? Because I know you were eating certain things at the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
How has that changed over time? Have you switched?
Sorry, we lost you for a second. Repeat that question.
So has anything changed with your diet over these past 6 months? Are certain things starting to pop up more? Have you noticed? Have you shifted anything? What's changed?
In terms of the actual food I'm eating, I'm better about liver. Initially, I hated it. Now I can tolerate it. I was like slathering it in mustard and just chewing it as fast as I could and basically muscling it down. But I've sort of grown to like it more. I don't say I love it, but I can do it. I don't gag anymore. Eat some chicken hearts from time to time. I do love those. I kind of love those already. That's a kind of a Brazilian thing. As you know, my wife is Brazilian, so whenever we do a cookout, we oftentimes get chicken hearts. Tried some kidney. That was disgusting. I'll never do that again. It tasted like pee. I'm not even kidding. That's probably all the organ meat I've done. I do take supplements. They're not really supplements. It's actually just desiccated meat from Heart and Soil. I do take those. Except for the days if I'm eating liver that day, I'm not taking the supplements and vice versa. What else has changed? So I've lost 30 pounds.
Yeah, you do look great.
Thanks, buddy. So initially, when I went on the diet, I was definitely overweight, and I had a wheeze and a cough, as I mentioned the first time we talked about this.
You literally had a cough. And he's being 100% serious. He was coughing all the time.
Yeah, it was like every couple minutes I'd cough.
Yeah, I was like,
there was just fluid in my lungs at all times.
Yeah, it was like one of the things like when I first met you, second time I met you, you were just like coughing all the time. You're like, yeah, you're like, I promise it's not COVID because we met during COVID times. Yeah. And I was like, all right, this guy's kind of weird.
Yeah, you probably thought it was weird. Anyways, so within, I would say, like 5 days, it was like super fast. The wheezing and coughing went away, like completely. And then, so those are the big things for me. There's some skin changes. I had a little bit of eczema on my legs, and that pretty much went away. Other than that, stable energy, sleeping better. My wife says my hair looks better. I don't know if that's true or not.
Your hair?
Yeah. She said it looks a little, I don't know, thicker maybe? I don't know. I can't tell. Who knows? Sometimes when you're looking for things, you find them, you know what I mean? So I don't know. But that kind of stalled. Like the weight loss kind of stopped, which is fine. I feel like I'm at a good weight. And then a little bit of the wheeze came back, and a little bit of the cough came back. And I noticed it was after drinking red wine. So I did some research. I found this professor from MIT, Dr. Stephanie Seneff, She was on the Peak Human podcast, and as far as I know, she's kind of on the controversial side. Where she's got like 1,000,000 degrees, and she's done her life's work around glyphosate. So, do you know what glyphosate is? That's the chemical in Roundup. So it's a pesticide, right? And this was a really good podcast because it kind of taught me a few things. One of them, like I didn't know the whole thing with GMOs. So I was like, well, isn't all fruit and vegetable GMOs basically, right? Like that's why we have seedless watermelon and stuff. That's not the issue that we've messed with it. The issue is what they did was modify certain fruits and vegetables to be immune to glyphosate. So in mass agriculture, they can spray the entire field and just the weeds die because they're not GMO, and the other crops survive. That's the whole reason. So that's why there's pesticides all over our fruit. And, by the way, just washing like an apple doesn't get the pesticides off because the glyphosate goes into the soil and then the plant soaks it up. So it's internalized into the actual fruit. So just washing it's not going to be enough. It's probably not going to do anything for you. So unless you're getting organic, it's like nearly impossible to be glyphosate free. Now, if you look up this stuff on the internet, there's a huge backstory behind it. And a lot of things saying, it's totally safe, blah, blah. But then you also read, okay, it's related to certain cancers. So anyways, I got afraid enough. Oh, let me go back into what she was saying. Dr. Sedif was saying that part of the issue and why you're seeing so much gluten sensitivity and increase in celiac disease is not necessarily the gluten. So gluten is a sticky protein. It's kind of hard to break down. But like, wheat has an enzyme. When you ingest it, you get, yes, the gluten, but also that enzyme that helps break down that gluten. What she is postulating is that glyphosate kills that enzyme. So you're just getting the gluten without the thing that comes along with it to help break it down. There's a whole pathway, the shikimate pathway. So that's her theory. Glyphosate's killing the enzyme. We're getting just the gluten, and it's irritating the crap out of us because we don't have all the tools necessary to break it down. Pretty interesting theory.
That is an interesting theory.
Yeah, so she's kind of like, well, it's not really celiac. It's the glyphosate. That's what she's saying. So that was enough for me to say, okay, let me try some organic wine. And that seemed to do the trick. I don't know. This is only a couple weeks into this sort of self-experiment. But, when I drink cheap red wine, wheeze and cough. When I drink organic, it goes away. Or it doesn't return, put it that way.
Yeah, that's interesting because I actually had a... my biggest thing is definitely I'm not against GMOs whatsoever. Mm-hmm. I'm against the pesticides that we spray on the foods. Mm-hmm. We need to be more careful about what we're doing here. Mm-hmm. And that sounds like it continues to agree with me. Especially if you look at fruits and vegetables of old and then today. It's like night and day. I mean, fruits, it's just night and day. If you look at carrots of from 70 years ago, it's not even the same thing. So I don't have a problem with GMOs, but definitely the way we try to protect those plants with these pesticides definitely seems to be the issue. And then you want to talk about carnivore diet. It's like, okay, well, we can sort of get away from a lot of that as a result.
But can we? So that's where you have to buy grass-fed, grass-finished beef, because now if you're getting sort of mass production beef, they're being fed corn and soy and what's on the corn and soy. There you go, glyphosate again. And they're getting there's acceptable amounts of plastic allowed in feed. Did you know that? Disgusting. So, I used to be like, oh, that whole organic thing, who's even checking it? Okay, it is a real thing, and it's definitely worth the extra couple bucks because it's your health. Mm-hmm. So, whenever I can. I mean, I'm not going to say I'm 100% grass-fed, grass-finished, but as much as I possibly can, that's what I do.
And anything that users and potential carnivorians should be concerned about trying this diet? Any things you would say, hey, don't make these mistakes I made, do this instead?
No, a lot of people that go on it will notice a 1 to 2 day diarrhea phase that is usually mitigated with getting some good healthy saturated fat. Has something to do with bile production. I'm not sure exactly what causes it. But usually if you have a couple avocados through that phase, it usually kind of takes care of that. So other than that, I mean, there's nothing really to be warned about. Well, I guess liver. You're going to have to eat liver. You can't just do ribeyes, all right? You got to get some organ meat, or else you will be missing some nutrients.
Ribeyes are so good, though.
Well, you can have as many ribeyes as you want, but you also got to get some liver, or you have to supplement for it.
I just wanted to make sure we weren't hating on ribeyes.
No, I love
'Cause
ribeye.
they're so good.
What's your favorite steak? Is it ribeye?
Ribeye. And I cook them so good. I don't know why I'm so good at it. I think I don't know. I think I've just cooked a lot of them, but at the same time, yeah, they just come out perfect. I would never go to a
naturally
restaurant.
gifted. But you still don't know how to flip an egg.
No. I'm actually really bad at cooking eggs as a result of how bad I am at flipping them.
It's so easy. Out, in.
Out in. So I want to talk about my experience on the carnivore diet because it was
wait.
different.
Quickly, have you ever reverse seared a steak?
No, what does that mean?
So,
is that the one where you're telling me like put it in the oven
first,
like 20
and
minutes?
then sear it afterwards? It comes out way better. I was surprised. I was skeptical.
Yeah, because you think it's gonna be overcooked.
Well, you know,
you only put it on like 200 or something like that.
Yeah, like 275, and you gotta watch the internal temperature. So it's a little more sciencey. You gotta get a thermometer, and part of the reason why it comes out good is because you're controlling the variables more. So if you're gonna sear on both sides and stick in the oven, it's kind of a little bit of guesswork, and maybe you sear it a little too long on one side. This, you basically get the internal temperature just right. Sear it real high, and it like basically makes the outside a little bit drier, so you get more like a bark on the steak, which is really nice.
Yeah, that is nice.
Yeah. So yeah, try that. It's really, really good. Okay, so your experience with carnivore.
Yeah, my experience was different. And one of the reasons why I switched to the carnivore diet was because I was getting really tired after meals, and I'll explain exactly why that was. I was just doing a silly thing with my diet for taste, but I was getting really tired after my meals, so I was like, you know what? Like, Chris is on it. He says he feels good. I'll give it a shot. Those things are true. I had very level energy, and I felt good. There was a huge cost component. I went from spending like $100 a week at the grocery store to $160 to $175. So it got real expensive really fast, and I was getting less food. I was eating less, even though I was spending significantly more, just because meat's so expensive. And so I ended up losing a bit of weight. I think like 5 or so pounds, but it was all body fat. I looked pretty good, I'll admit, but part of that was also just because I was eating less because I couldn't afford more.
But were you hungry?
What's that?
Did you feel like you were in a calorie deficit? Did you feel hungry?
No, I actually felt good. So I really didn't feel hungry at all. I felt completely satiated, felt good. The one thing that was continued to occur throughout the entire month that I was on the carnivore diet was I was having diarrhea the entire time.
Oh, you were?
Every single day, yeah. I was having very irregular bowel movements.
Mm-hmm.
And I tried some solutions. I tried a multivitamin, tried some supplements, tried magnesium, tried, more liver, tried some different things, and nothing seemed to work. So I was like, okay.
Did you try the avocado? Because I think I told you about that, right?
I did try the avocado in the beginning.
Didn't help?
No, nothing helped. Part of it could be I figured out, and this is a little bit of an aside, but kind of important. I figured out that I was actually intolerant to chicken, which I had been dealing with my whole life, and I just never knew. Because you just figured, okay, chicken's good for you. But for me, that was not the case.
Yep.
So that could have been part of it. Maybe if I went to a more like red meat and pork sort of situation, that would have changed things. But yeah, I was having irregular bowel movements the entire time. And so the cost and then that, I was like, okay, I'm going to stop. And then the thing I changed, I went back to my normal diet, which is literally just whole wheat pasta, kale, bell peppers, broccoli, and then meat. It's usually a high-fat meat, like a red meat, like a chuck pot roast or pork shoulder, one of those two. It's literally that's literally my meal. I alternate the meat, and it's the exact same meal. I have that twice a day. And the thing I did is I was putting like Alfredo sauce in the pasta to make it taste better. And it's not like it was a ton, but it was still too much to have twice a day. And that's what was weighing me down.
Yeah.
I cut that out. And then now I feel good after one of my meals. I don't feel tired.
Yeah. I mean, this just goes to show that, there's not one diet for everybody, No, I don't know if there's an optimal diet. I sort of know what works for me, and it sounds like what works for you. And I think it's important for people to kind of experiment with their diet and see what you react to and what you don't. I think that's part of it, is just understanding that food is super powerful and it does cause reactions to people. Like I was like living, just feeling kind of like crap, but not knowing it, because I just thought, that's just me, right? And then once I started playing around my diet, I was like, oh my God, I feel so much better. I didn't know I could be like this. So yeah. It's pretty crazy. I want to say, though, with the chicken and pork, like I don't really eat a lot of chicken or pork anymore. Actually, I eat like zero chicken now. The main reason is it's kind of hard to get good quality chicken. Like, can you find organic chicken? Chicken that's not fed corn and soy and all this garbage. Same thing with pork. Pork's a little easier to find that, but chicken, it's like, unless you're ordering online somewhere, it's hard to find that. So I know there's places like White Oaks, is it White Oaks Farms, yeah, and Belcampo. You can get really good quality.
White Oaks Farms?
So White Oaks,
Fair Oaks.
No, White Oaks Farms.
Okay,
I believe
good,
in Georgia.
Fair Oaks Farms is horrible to their calves.
No,
Do not buy anything, and that's the Fairlife, the little the milk, the Fairlife milk.
Oh,
Do not buy anything from them.
Okay. No, and these two places are like net carbon negative.
Wow.
So this is all about regenerative farming. So a lot of people make the argument, well, meat's bad because it adds some more carbon to the environment, and that's kind of bullshit. That's propaganda. I mean, yes, mass agriculture is like that, but you can farm differently and still have a negative carbon footprint.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it's actually better for the soil and better for the earth. That's what we all should be doing. So, Carnivore Revisited. What else do we want to say about Carnivore? Anything else?
Here's what I'll say just in general. When you are going to try a new diet, or you want to figure out what works and what doesn't work for you, control as many variables as you can. Figure out some very systematic approach to it. Mm-hmm. Eat only one way, and then change one variable and see what happens. Change another variable and see what happens. But keep everything else the exact same. Don't change one thing. And do that for a while, and I guarantee you'll spot the little things that really bother you.
Yeah.
For me, it was peanut butter. I didn't realize, but I couldn't have peanut butter and jelly sandwiches. Like, that would really bother me. Again, the chicken, bananas. And the only way I found out that I was intolerant to these things is they made me feel really bad and uncomfortable. Like, my stomach would be uncomfortable. I'd have irregular bowel movements. I'd be tired or whatever the case was. The only way I could figure out these intolerances is because my diet is so systematic. Yeah. If it wasn't that way, I'd have no idea.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's the way you should do anything in life, is be scientific and add one variable. If you're looking for change, add one variable at a time or subtract one at a time and see the difference.
Yep.
That's a good approach. We did a lot of pee-pee poo-poo talk, so on to the, as it pertains to bowel movements, I will say you're going to defecate a lot less. So if you're the kind of person that goes like 2 or 3 times a day on the carnivore, yes. Because, and that's good. People think they're getting constipated. That's not what it is. It's just that your body absorbs basically all of the meat. So, a lot of the stuff that you defecate is stuff like fiber, which is debatable if we even need that. It's all the stuff that's insoluble. That's what makes up the bulk of a stool. If your GI system's absorbing most of the meat, you're not going to go to the bathroom as often, which is kind of nice, actually.
Yeah, you're more efficient.
Side benefit, yeah. Yep.
That's all we got?
That's all we got, I guess. Yeah. Carnivore. I love it. John doesn't.
I don't dislike it. I'll probably find my way back to it in some sort of capacity because I don't have a lot of carbs.
Yeah. Like
the pasta that I have, it's not that much. But I do have a decent amount of fruit, which, again, fruit's one of those things. We talked about the mangoes at the beginning. Like, if I have too many strawberries or whatever the case, then I have, some stomach problems. And that's where it's like, okay, well, I mean, is this causing longer-term damage? This is something we have to, consider. If it's bad in the short term, what's the long term?
Right.
It's slight excess. It's like, okay, I have 5 strawberries. Okay, I have 6. Now I'm uncomfortable.
Yeah. Well, I also, that kind of goes back to, once again, the insulin situation, right? So if you're just living a life of a carb-heavy diet, I'm not anti-carb, okay? But if your diet is centered around carbohydrates, your body at some point will become insulin resistant, and then you run into other issues. And that's going to happen later in life. But, I think carbs should be a part of a diet, but I just think it's too centralized in sort of the standard American diet.
Yeah, and that's the other thing I should say is I actually have a very high-fat diet, and it's very high protein. Mm-hmm. It does have a decent amount of carbs, but it's actually it's a significantly lower percentage. It's probably like 15 to 20%, where fats are really high, and then protein's pretty high as well.
Yeah, I think that's important. Saturated fat's good for you. It's what your nervous system is made out of. So.
Yeah, I do cook in butter.
Yeah, good.
Tastes better,
Yep.
And it's not bad for you.
That's right. The French had it right all the time.
Yep.
So. All right, I think that's a wrap. What do you say?
Yep. I think that was a good little revisit episode.
All right, Carnivore Part 2 in the books.
All right, see you next week.
Bye, John. Do you have unexplained pain? Or do you wonder just how healthy you are? When was the last time you had your blood tested? Blood chemistry analysis is a great way to stay ahead of any health conditions, and now you can have control of your health with Let's Get Checked. Let's Get Checked is an incredible company that sends blood tests to your home. You can choose from over 30 different tests, whether that's liver function, testosterone, micronutrient, cholesterol, or C-reactive protein, which is a marker for inflammation. It's sent to you with free shipping, and you get results in 2 to 5 days, no physician referral needed. Use the code DPT20 for 20% off. Go to letsgetchecked.com and use the code DPT20. Thanks for listening to our podcast. If you have any questions you want answered, find us on Instagram at MOTUS Naples or send us an email. You can fill out a contact form on our website, which is motusnaples.com. Make sure to check out our blog and our shop as well, where there are downloadable programs that we'll continue to update. This is the Move with MOTUS podcast. We'll see you next week.